So assuming you're faced with this error message, you have created your MRP, you have triggered your MRP run on your material master record, and you have converted your plan order or your purchase requisition into a purchase order, and you have created the purchase order, right? And you have converted your purchase order into a goods receipt. And after you've converted the goods receipt, you want to create an invoice receipt, and then you run into this error. This is the error message, error in account determination table, T030K, key YC0AVSTVO. Now, this one here is a popular table. The T030K is a popular table. This YCOA, this has to do with a chart of account, and different organizations or different system landscape could have different charts of accounts configured in there. The VST is also a popular transaction. And then the VO, this has to do with your input tax, right? So now you receive this error message. Let's say you're working with an organization or an entity, maybe it's a manufacturing organization or it's a pharmaceutical, aerospace and defense, maybe it's a retail organization. And the end user, the user sent you this ticket and they said, I'm running into this error. They send this portion here, and then you see the same error message, right? This is what we want to fix. This is the error message we faced last week, and we want to essentially fix this error message. Now, there are a few things you can do. Whenever you look at an error message, I want you to first look at it closely whenever it says there's a table. When there's a table, it means that you can basically run some transaction codes to figure out which table is SAP saying that an error is coming from, okay? So I can, go into a couple of tables. Let me just share my screen. So I'll bring the screen right here. And let's just ensure it says T030K, okay? So I would go to the table depository. I'll go to SE16N. And right here, I can put in the T030K. And you can see here that it's saying that it's a tax account determination table. So this tax accounts determination table is where our error is coming from, okay? So now we can go back and look at the error message, and the message says that there's a key here for YCOA, okay? So for this YCOA, you can come here. It has to do with your charts of account. Different organizations could have different charts of account. In this system landscape, we have 220 in total, okay? So you can use the binoculars glass and search for YCOA. And that's the chart of accounts US. So you select that chart of account, and also you're still looking at the error message, and it says that there's something that is missing in this VST VO, okay? So now that you've found the table, you've entered the table into this SE16N for this general data display depository for all the tables in SAP, and you've also found the chart of accounts, YCOA, then you click execute. And now it brings you to this screen, okay? So now you can see that you're within the search table, T030K, for tax account determination. You can see your charts of accounts is YCOA. You can see the process, the transaction, VST, right? And you can also see the tax code for VO is missing. We don't have it. And that is why it's generating this error message FF709, okay? And this is the reason why this invoice posting cannot be executed. So let me bring the invoice posting error into the screen so you can have a look. So this is the error. And this is the error message we're getting here, okay? This is the error message. can blow this error message wide open. It says that in the chart of accounts to be posted to, no accounts are defined for the tax code you used. Okay. Of course, it says contact the system administrator and all of that. Okay. But we are the system administrators. We should be able to decipher and solve this error. So it's because of this VO that we're using. There is no tax code defined for this particular VO for our chart of accounts, which is YCOA, for the table T030K. So what we do is we can also establish another transaction code to go fix this. We can go to transaction code OB40, okay? And in this OB40, this has to do with the tax on sales and purchases. Now, when you scroll to the bottom side of the screen, you see your VST for your input tax. Again, if you go back to the front end, you see that this had to do with input tax. And of course, the error message has already given us all the clues that we need to be able to solve this. So you go to VST and you select your chart of account, YCOA, and you can see that of a truth, there's no tax code for VO, right? So again, if you go back to this screen, we have VO here, but there's no tax code in the back end of the system for this VO. So what we need to do is we select this line and we can copy create. So you click on copy create and then it will automatically populate the same information. You just want to change this one to VO. And that's it. Once you hit save and save it into customizing, okay, and you can close this screen. And now you back out of this without posting and try to generate your logistics invoice verification again, you should be able to complete this task. And at that point, you reach back to the end user and inform them that they can go check. And if they're running into any more issues with this tax code, they should let you know. So I'm just going to fill this up. I'll select VO for input tax, put in my purchase order number, and I'll select the amount to be 450 to balance out this payment to the vendor. And now you see we have a green light and there's no more error message. Once we click on simulate, now we can see that the SAP system is going to debit $450 from the company's goods received invoice receipt account, the GRIR account, and is going to credit into the vendor's GL account, basically their bank account, for an amount of $450 that we are liable to pay them for the battery cell 01 material or stock or item or part that we procured for them for 50 quantity into our plant US 29. And once we click post at the bottom, you'll see that will be debited 450 and the vendor's account will be credited 450, which balances out to 0. Now the system is telling us that we're still coming up with some error messages, and it's saying that there's another GL account that is not defined in this company code US 29. So it's going to be pretty much the same steps. All we need to do is we need to go define this particular GL account, FL00. We will just click on this button here that says create, and all this information will be automatically populated. It's best for the finance guys to create this so that way they ensure that they're making the right selections, because there are specific things that needs to be selected for this to work correctly. So in the previous screens that we opened, there were specific fields that were there, but it seems like they're not on this particular one. Okay. So what I'm just going to do is I would choose anything that is related to tax. That's what we really need. We need anything that is related to tax. So there's a tax office clearing account here. This MM adjusting. It's material consumption account. Okay. And usually when you're done creating, you can always check to ensure that everything is working as it's supposed to by clicking on this button. Keep the balance sheet account in the local currency only. So this is for our chart of accounts, this is for the country, and this is our controlling area. All of this has more to do with finance. Okay. So everything really looks okay right now. We can say balance in local currency only. And we can click check again. And the data contains no errors. And we can save. So at this point, we've created a GL account for this company code. And we have created this for the short text, input tax AC. And now the system would be able to find our GL account. Okay, because right now you can see that the error message here is saying something that this GL account is not defined in this company code US29, but we have just defined it. Okay, and we can just refresh our invoice posting by just starting all over again. Because usually the system wouldn't be able to pick up the new configurations that we have done unless we go and start again. So if I hit enter, you'll see the amount that we need to settle. And we can also go to simulate. And since I've already explained this, we'll just click post. And you can see now it has posted and there's no more errors. So this is just a couple of things you need to have at the back of your mind whenever you're working on this full end-to-end. Expect errors, but of course, if the system has been built up, then you wouldn't run into any issues. So again, what did we do? We used a couple of tables to figure out what the error messages were. I think the very first error message that we had was coming from the fact that the system wasn't able to understand where to post the tax impact of this particular payment to the vendor to. Okay, it wasn't able to determine the GL account, and immediately we're able to read this message. We went to the table T030K, right? And we checked into the chart of accounts and the VST. And after we did that, we were able to realize that we didn't have the one for VO. We went to OB40 and we created one for VO against this GL account, basically telling the system, okay, you can now post into this chart of accounts, into this transaction, into this tax, input tax.